Deep in the basement of the Kellogg Library at Cal State San Marcos sits a treasure trove of San Diego beer history. It's known as the Brewchive, and it's the only one dedicated to San Diego's brewing industry. As KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen shows us, San Diego brewing history runs deep.
Well, it's no secret that San Diego loves its craft beer, but not many people know that the history of San Diego brewing sits inside that building right there.
It's known as the Brewchive, and it's the only one dedicated to San Diego's brewing scene. Located deep in the basement of Kellogg Library, it's a treasure trove of the region's beer history. There are bottle caps, coasters, tap handles, and more. And here's the lady whose job it is to archive them all.
I'm Judith Downey, and I am the History and Special Collections Librarian at Cal State San Marcos.
She's also the curator of the Brewchive, but most people just know her as.
And they'll say, oh, you're the beer historian. And, they're always fascinated. I always try to have some kind of little hidden gem of knowledge that, either busts a myth or corrects a misperception.
One of the most popular misconceptions about San Diego's brewing industry is that it started in the 1980s. But it all started in 1868 with Christian Dupler's San Diego Brewing Company.
This is kind of a secured storage area.
As Downey walks around the collection, showing off things she's collected or people have donated to the archive, you can sense how much she loves her work.
I've also got things like, and I keep saying this is the CSUSM collection, but I feel so invested in this because it's such a passion for me that I always say my collection, and it's really not.
The collection has pint glasses adorned with logos and artworks from various brewers. Some have gone out of business, others show the evolution of their logos. And the collection keeps on growing.
That's about it for this room. We do have another room down on the other end of the building that I'll take you to.
The idea for the Brewchive started as early as 2015, around the time when Cal State San Marcos was starting its beer making certificate program, dubbed Brewing. It was the brainchild of Jennifer Fabi. She's the dean of the university library. As the San Diego craft beer scene exploded into $1 billion industry, Fabi thought it was a good idea to preserve that history because, as it turns out, nobody in town was.
We knew that in order to do that, we would need some resources, and we wanted to make sure that we had a collection that was very exciting to both the public and also to those internal to the university.
Fabi formed an advisory group comprised of local brewers and a filmmaker who's done a documentary on San Diego brewing to see what the archive should collect. It was the advisory group that came up with the name.
At first, we called it the Barchive because, of course, that rhymes with archive. But those people on the advisory committee, they said that won't do. Brewchive is better. So we trademarked Brewchive.
The Brewchive also benefited because a lot of brewers are passionate about their beers, so they collect a lot of keepsakes, such as Greg Cook, the founder of Stone Brewing. He donated more than 600 Bankers boxes full of stuff to the archive.
I collected a lot of stuff from Stone history along the way, and by a lot of stuff, I mean a lot of stuff, as well as from other craft breweries and places I've been, etc., etc. And I had just been collecting this in a spare room in my house, and it was overwhelmed. It was packed. I had so much stuff.
So when he was approached by the Brewchive, he jumped at the idea. He called it a symbiotic relationship. The Brewchive gets to preserve the collection, and he gets it out of the house. It's the largest donation to the Brewchive to date, though Downey says the collection is on permanent loan from Cook. While the majority of the Brewchive is dedicated to what Downey calls the third wave of San Diego brewing, the period from 1987 until 2020. She is now working on the fourth wave, the post-pandemic period. Downey is also working on preserving the history of women's involvement in the San Diego brewing industry.
I'm really trying to get women's stories. Because women's history is still not well represented.
Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.